finally happening. I'm finally doing my first ever bookshelf tour. So I woke up this morning, didn't quite know what I wanted to film, and I was like, you know what? Let's just do this bookshelf tour. So I now have quite a lot of bookcases in this house. There are 5 bookcases just in this room, plus 2 TBR carts. I have 1 wall-mounted shelf in the living room, and I have 3 long, narrow bookshelves and 1 long, narrow Billy bookshelf upstairs as well. And we are going to be going through all of them today. The reason why I've never done a bookshelf tour in the past is that I just don't think that the way I organize my books or anything on my shelves is all that interesting. So a couple of them are more interesting than others, but my main shelves for the longest time were just these. I have 3 of these in total, and they are paperbacks alphabetized. So during this tour it's going to be more of like a bookshelf overview, because I'm not going through every single book I have. I think I own in total, I think we're approaching 1,000 at this point, and like there's nothing super interesting about alphabetized paperbacks. But if something does stick out, if there's something to say about anything in particular, then I will of course mention that through the tour. So first off, I'm going to give you an overview of this room in general. So these 2 shelves are my main shelves, are the shelves that I've had the longest. These are actually DVD shelves. I prefer DVD shelves to bookcases because the paperbacks fit perfectly, they take up less space, they're not as deep, and these ones, as you guys are going to see, are also very, very tall. Like I can barely reach the books on this top shelf. Also in this room we have the 3rd of these bookcases. This one is a miscellaneous mess. We are going to be looking into it. There's a little bit of organization here, but the bottom of this case is just putting things where they will fit. And while these ones are meticulously organized by alphabetization, a lot of the other bookcases I have are a mess. Now my ideal dream would to be have all of my bookcases lined out so that everything can just be alphabetized. Sadly that is not the case. When we moved in, I really wanted this wall for a whole row of bookshelves, but there's a massive radiator along that wall, so sadly it was not possible. But we also have a shorter bookcase down here, a solid wood one, and up over in this corner we have my author shelves. So apart from the bottom 2 shelves in here, those are dedicated to some of my favorite authors, or authors that I have the most books by. One in particular is not one of my favorite authors, but I do have a lot of her books. We also have a TBR cart here. This is my desk and work area, and here we have the unhaul cart, which also has, this is where Hamilton sleeps when I'm working because he always has to be near me at all times. That is the rough overview of what we're dealing with in this room. Let us start off with the main shelves, the alphabetized paperbacks, which are here. My family love to thrift, get things where you can for as cheap as you can, and also my mum loved going to things like auctions, furniture auctions specifically. I remember when I was a kid, I came home one day and there were 2 church organs in my house that my mum had picked up for about £5 each. So these ones in particular are actually from Blockbusters. When the Blockbuster was shutting down in our town, they were throwing these out into the skip, and my mum asked if she could have them. So we have 3 of these. There were 4 in total. I managed to get 3 for my books, and my dad still has one, I think, in his garage. So let us crack up to the top of these shelves and see what's up there. I don't even know if this tripod will reach, so it might be a struggle, but we're gonna try. So this is very precariously angled. There might be a little bit of wobble, which I am sorry about, but here we have the first of the shelves. Nothing on this shelf, as far as I'm aware, is particularly special. We do have the Winter Night Trilogy by Catherine Arden, which is one of my favorites. We have my old paperbacks of the Grisha Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. Just some alphabetized paperbacks. On top of the shelves here, we do have some subscription boxes. I have mentioned briefly in another video that I keep 1 subscription box from every company that I've ever worked with, and also I didn't work with Owlcrate on this Kingdom of Ash box, but it is a stunning box, so I have kept it. Moving along to this shelf, we have my Jim Butcher books, which I did read the first 5 or 6 books in the series when I was about 13, and I want to reread them. As you can see in there, the 3rd book, I think, is a smaller paperback. I actually prefer those covers, and I kind of wish I could get the full set in those, but I have been thrifting these, so I'm just picking up really what I can find. We also have some of my Meg Cabot books. Meg Cabot was my favorite author when I was a kid. These are actually not my original copies. These are once again ones that I've thrifted. Of those that are up there, the only ones I haven't read are Insatiable and Overbite, but the Missing series I do desperately want to reread because I did love it when I was a kid and I want to relive that story. So next shelf down we have the entire selection series by Kiera. This was gifted to me by my friend Ryan. I still haven't read this series. It might be a good contender for one of my I read a series in a week vlogs, so let me know if that's something you would like to see. But we also have the Long Way to a Small Angry Planet trilogy, which is one of my favorite sci-fi series because there's actually a 4th book out now that I haven't read yet because I want the paperback. And we also have the Bone Witch series by Rinchpeko, which I did do I read this series in a week video on, and some Agatha Christie's, which I guess are interesting because it's not something you'd think I'd be into, but my mum loved Agatha Christie and I did read a couple when I was a kid, and I wanted to read some of the Thomas and Tuppence books, so I have those. And oh, we have my original Hunger Games paperbacks as well here. Over on this side, I don't think we have anything overly interesting. We have the Hush Hush series, which is one of the series that I read when I was around 20. Hated the 3rd book, which is Silence, but the main thing I do love about the series is Patch. So it's one of those series that I have absolutely no interest in now, but I will probably never unhaul. So we are finally at a point where I can rest my tripod on the floor. As you can see here, my shelves are getting a bit tatty, but quite honestly I don't really care because I'm not actually too concerned with how they look. Something that you guys have asked me about a lot before is these, which are my magnetic bookmarks. As you guys know, I have quite a lot of them. These ones are all Disney princesses. This was like a Disney princess in onesie collection that I had. I used to be absolutely obsessed with these and collect them quite a lot. However, Happy Hello Co no longer focus on magnetic bookmarks. They're doing like pins and washi tape stuff now, so I will link the shop in the description, but they have a very small selection of bookmarks compared to what they used to. So interesting on this shelf, I guess, we have an Arc of Caraval, which is a book that I have not read, but I found this in a charity shop, so I picked it up as it's quite a like special, unique kind of arc. If I like the book, because I have a hardback as well, which you'll see at some point, I will keep it. If not, I will send it right back to the charity shop. We also have my Beautiful Creatures series. Didn't even like this series that much, but these were the first books that I ever bought from Waterstones back when I was in uni. A series that you wouldn't think that I would like is the Look series by Anna Gobberson. These are YA historical romance. Absolutely adore this series, though I hated the ending. We also have some of Michael Grant's books. I still have not read these. I picked this up from Waterstones, I think, one of the other first books I ever bought from Waterstones. And the others I have thrifted. I've heard the series is very good. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, but I will try it out. Moving along to this side, we once again have some more Happy Hellos. So we have the rest of the Disney princesses. We have Anastasia and Dimitri from Anastasia, which is one of my favorite animated movies. Winifred Sanderson is backwards, but we also have the Witches from Hocus Pocus and Thackeray Binks. We have Mary Poppins. This one is a Greatest Showman set. And we also have Glinda from Wicked. I do have Elphaba somewhere, but I think she's in a book that I've read recently, so I need to put her back. Some of the Happy Hello sets I've got are missing bookmarks at the minute because I keep leaving them in my books and then I'll randomly find them at some point. But for this shelf, we have the Rebel of the Sand series by Alwyn Hamilton, which I like the second 2 books in this series. We have my John Greens that are spread across the other shelf as well. I've read about half of them. I haven't read Let It Snow and Abundance of Catherine's or Will Grayson, Will Grayson. Not sure if I will like them now, but I've kept them for some reason. Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. It's the movie cover. That is a book that I read when I was about 17 or 18. I really liked it, so I've kept it. And we also have most of my Sookie Stackhouse books. Now, I've read the first 4 or 5 of these and I really don't like them all that much, but you do not understand the pains I went to thrift every single one of these books. These books cost me no more than £2 each, and I persevered until I had them all, so it hurts a little bit to unhaul them. So I've kept them, but I might get rid of those at some point. I do want to read more from the series though. If you guys watched the vlog where I assembled 4 new bookcases and reorganized the library, you will know that I currently have some gaps on these shelves that I'm not too concerned about filling right now. I will get to it eventually, of course, but I don't film in front of these at the minute, so it doesn't matter to me that there's a few gaps. And it's always nice to have space. But on this shelf we have the rest of the Sookie Stackhouse books. Thrifted these quite recently because I previously read Alice by Christina Henry. Didn't didn't like it, but I want to try these, and I picked them up for like £1.50 each. This is a series, The Next Together by Lauren James, that I think I'm really gonna love because I like reincarnation, but also because it's gonna be like a YA sci-fi twist kind of book. Not sure how I'm gonna feel about it. And then in terms of the happy hellos on this one, this is my Sarah J Maas string that goes all the way across to the other side, but we have many different sets. I collected a lot of the Sarah J Maas sets, and then they got to be a bit too much. Like, they were just making too many and they were getting ridiculous, so I stopped. But up until here, we have all of my ACOTAR ones. There are quite a few missing, and it really upsets me. I do need to find them all and get them back on the strings. And then these three are Dorian, Kaol, and Rowan from Throne of Glass. Moving on to this side, we have my Throne of Glass happy hellos. Once again, quite a few of them missing. The only Throne of Glass set that I don't have that I want is the Kingdom of Ash set. So as for the books, we have a whole ton of stuff that I haven't read, but we do have the Tailing series by Erica Johansson, which I absolutely adore these series. I want to give it a reread, and I still don't have and also haven't read the prequel to this, which I think is called Beneath the Keep. We have some adult high fantasy. We've got 2 of the N.K. Jemisin first books in series, the Dream Blood and also the, is it the Broken Earth? And of course we have Eye of the World, which I still have not read and really want to, so I can watch the show. Over here we have a few Mark Lawrence, which continues onto the next shelf, but we have Prince of Thorns, which is the first book in that series, and we also have something that I thrifted, which is the Prince of Fools arc. I think I picked this up at the same time I found the Caraval one, and this one I think is the first book in the spin-off series to Prince of Thorns, which possibly follows the same character when he's a little bit older. Down here we have A Gap Where Grey Sister Goes, because I've just read it, so it's on my wrap-up shelf, which I'll show you guys later. A couple of Anne Leckie books, and I really want to read Jade City sometime soon. I have ordered the Illumicrate special edition set, so I think I'm really gonna love that one. Also, Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch. The Lies of Locke Lamora isn't on here because it is an anniversary edition, so it's on the shelf in the living room. That's the thing that bugs me when I split things up into different categories, that we end up with series not together, and that is the main thing that annoys me about my shelves. Something that you guys ask me about a lot is my Game of Thrones editions, so I'm only going to pull out Game of Thrones, but it is the, I don't know what the edition is called, but they're just like landscape paperbacks that have a scene from Westeros, I guess, on them. I think that these are TV show tie-ins. I thrifted every single one of these books, and they're not the most common edition either, so it was a little bit of a struggle, but I absolutely adore these, and I'm planning on getting the Wheel of Time ones that they've done in a similar style, because I just love books that are looking like this. But you guys have asked me a lot what editions these are. These are just UK paperbacks, and I'm going to be very upset if they don't, whenever the final books are released, if they don't make paperbacks in these editions. It's going to kill me. For the happy hellos on this string, these are some of my favorites because they're all TV show ones. So we have the Buffy set, which is probably my favorite set that I have. We also have Game of Thrones, but Daenerys is missing, and I don't know where she is. The Night King is not a happy hello one. I got him in a subscription box, but he's here because Game of Thrones. And we also have The Walking Dead, and this one is a Stranger Things one that should not be here. Over on this side, we have some more of the older YA series that I love, but we also have some more George R.R. Martin. We have The Ice Dragon, which is a little fairy tale type story that's illustrated. That's really good, and it's a quick read if you want something wintry. We have all of my Vampire Academy books. I don't love Vampire Academy, but Bloodlines is one of my favorite nostalgia series because Adrian Ivashkov is one of the loves of my life from when I was like in my late teens. And then we also have the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. These won't be special to a lot of you guys, but they're special to me because they are just the US paperbacks, but I picked up Cress and Winter from Book Depository in the US edition, but Cinder and Scarlet I had really awful shiny copies of, so when I went to Florida I picked up the US edition. So nothing special about the book, but special to me. And for the happy hellos on here, we have Stranger Things, which are on this side. We then have Riverdale, which is my guilty pleasure TV show. And we also have Pretty Little Liars. Those are all of the TV show ones. And then over here, we have Strange the Dreamer and a Rogue recent favorite one. Moving down again, we have my Stephanie Meyer books. I do still have my original Twilight hardback, which is horrific, and I'll show you guys later. I have a couple of the white editions, which I know a lot of people are trying to get hold of now, but mine were thrifted, so they're tatty as hell, but they have red sprayed edges and a red back cover. We also have some Karen Miller books. I haven't read any of these, but I thrifted the whole lot and I've actually read some terrible reviews on them. So if you've read any books by Karen Miller, let me know if you like them. I was at a car boot sale and was really excited to see some adult fantasy, which is really hard to come by secondhand. So I read the synopsis on these, thought they sounded interesting and picked them up. And we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which, as you guys know, is a book that I don't like, but I thrifted this copy. Once again, a sought after random paperback, and this one is the white one. They did a black one and a white one. This is the white one with red sprayed edges. And then for the happy hellos on this side, we have some Nevernight. Some of the Nevernight ones I'm missing because they're in books or on the edge of my J. Kristoff books. We have the Bone Season. Once again, no idea where page has gone from the Bone Season. We then have my Red Queen ones, which I think ends there. We have Twilight for nostalgia purposes, and we also have an overspill of Akatar because I do have the High Lords of Prithian set as well. So over here we have a whole ton of Murakami. These are courtesies, but I keep them with my collection because they look really good, and I do actually like Murakami. I read The Wind Up Bird and really loved it. Lolita by Nabokov, book that I read. It was alright. I should probably unhaul that. I don't need it. A whole ton of Patrick Ness. The only book that I've actually read from Patrick Ness is A Monster Calls, and yes, I did cry. One Day, one of the oldest books. I bought this probably around 10 years ago, and it was my favourite adult contemporary story ever. Absolutely adore this book. We have the Sabriel Trilogy. This is on my 30 books to read before 30, and I really want to get to it. I think I'm going to enjoy it. And we also have the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik. The first book in the US is called something different, but I absolutely adore these covers, so I have been thrifting the series. As you can see, this one cost me £2. I've been thrifting the series in these covers because they are stunning and much better than the more common covers. So we're going down into this corner and I need to move the chair, but I wanted to talk about the chair a little bit first. This is a very old chair from the 1980s at the absolute latest, and it was in my great-grandfather's house, and there's actually a picture of me, which I'll see if I can find and insert it here, stood next to this chair when I was about 2 or 3 years old, and now like I'm the same height as the chair in that picture, and now I'm the same height as it when I sit down, which is kind of cool. Okay, so we are done with the happy hellos by the time we get down here. These are a whole bunch of books that I haven't read. Only book on the shelf, like from here onwards. Oh no, there's 2. I've read The Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins, which is a really solid YA slasher. I really enjoyed it. Doesn't do anything special, but really enjoyable. And I've read Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill, which I also enjoyed. These are my prized possessions. Louise Renison was my favourite author when I was a kid. Favorite childhood series of all time. Absolutely adore these. And I also have Wuthering Heights, which is the first book in the series that she wrote after these. I haven't read it. I thrifted it. Don't know if I want to read it, but it fills this gap perfectly, and if I took it out, I wouldn't put anything else in, so I might as well keep it. Something you're going to notice here is that I have the entire Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes, and I think I'm missing book 6 actually, but I hate that this is huge. These, once again, nothing special to you guys in the US, but they are floppy US paperbacks. I got all of these for Christmas one year. Similarly with these, Ryan bought me the whole trilogy for Christmas. Have not read them. Also have the full set of these. Have not read them, although I did thrift all of these for £1 each, which is why I have them all. These are from back in the day when I used to just collect full series, so that when I wanted to read them, I had them all. I no longer do that. I just collect the first book in a series, and then when I've read it, I get the sequel because I don't have the space to collect full series anymore. And then of course we have The Name of the Wind, which I have not read yet, and I'm putting this off. Like, I will read every other popular adult fantasy series before these because I know that the third book isn't coming out anytime soon. Down here we have, like, on all of these bottom shelves, there's 2 series in particular that you're going to be thinking, Becca, why do you have these? The first one, of course, is the Pretty Little Liars series, and also the, which one's the other one? The Lion Game by Sarah Shepard. I just really liked the TV shows for both of them, and when I started my book collection, I used to collect adaptations because I was a film study student and I was interested in film as well as reading. So I have all of those, and once again I really persevered with the thrifting, so I don't want to unhaul them. I don't have the full set, there's like 12 of those. I also have some of the Witcher books. All of these are also thrifted because it's such a big series as well. Like I just said, I don't collect full series anymore. If I find a book that's in such a large series like these secondhand for £1, I'm gonna pick it up. Alice in Zombieland, absolutely terrible books, would not recommend at all, but they're very addictive and I really enjoyed this series for some reason, but definitely not good, would not recommend, don't read those books. On this shelf we just have a random collection once again. On this shelf the only books that I've actually read are Scythe, which is one of my favourite series of all time, and Malamander by Thomas Taylor, which was gifted to me by Gav. It is a children's story. We have a proof copy of The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This is one that I thrifted. A series I'm really interested in reading is The Thief by Megan Wallen Turner, but I'm pretty sure that this series still isn't finished. Beast Player, underrated favourite, really love it, but I haven't got to the Beast Warrior yet. Really excited to read The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. I think that's going to be real good. The entire Ugly series, which I have not read. The entire Ember in the Ashes series, although the fourth book is somewhere else because it's a hardback, that I read this series in a week video for. And the final shelf on this case, the other dodgy series I have that you're gonna wonder why I have it, Gossip Girl and It Girl. Once again, big fan of Gossip Girl, have all of the books, thrifted them all, they just live here. The Girl King by Mimi Yu, I bought brand new, was really excited to read it, never got to it. Fifth Wave Trilogy, enjoyed it when I read it, cannot remember a single thing about it, but it's one of those nostalgia series that I have. Oh, and I think I don't like Kirsten White. I've only read one book from her, was not a fan, but this is an art copy of And I Darken, and I really like it because specifically it has Buffy Summers on the title, but once again this is an arc that I thrifted. It was not sent to me for review. So we're moving on to this short shelf behind me. Fun fact about this one, it is actually from a church. So you know at the back of all of the pews they have that bookshelf that all of the hymn books are on. This is one of those. My mum picked them up from either a charity shop or an auction. Got them really cheap, maybe £10–15 each. They are solid wood and so heavy. Real good quality bookshelf. As you can tell, they're awkward sizing, but it's a beautiful piece of furniture, so I've worked with it. I guess we'll start off with the top of these. Sorry for the backlighting, but as you can tell there's a massive window behind these. These are my illustrated Harry Potters. I no longer show or promote Harry Potter on my channel, but they do exist in my library, so essentially they're in a place where they'll never really be in the background of my videos, but I do still keep them. I also have the leather-bound editions of Game of Thrones. These are really pretty. Gavin sent me all of these. He sent me one for every birthday and Christmas for the last couple of years, and they have some stunning foiling on them and also some gorgeous gilt edges. These are just some generic bookends that Ryan got me for Christmas one year. Random candles dotted about everywhere from subscription boxes and such. Over this side we have some beautiful backlit trinkets. Let's see if I can drag the ring light over a bit. That is only very slightly better, but this plant, I apologize that you have to see this. I haven't been looking after that one very well. This was a crystal tree that I bought my mum for her birthday or Christmas or something when I was about 7. This is a castle that I painted myself. Was very proud of it, but I've dropped it like 4 times and smashed lots of bits off it, which I'm real sad about. This was a little going away present I got from a job because it's just like a real cute ghosty light. And we have some Nevernight little playing card print things and a little Game of Thrones photo holder. And this lamp has a new shade on it from B&Q, but it is from the same great-grandfather's house that the chair came from. So once again, real old, but absolutely beautiful. You can't buy lamps like this anymore without paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds for them. So moving on to these shelves, I guess we'll do the top 2 shelves at once and then struggle along the bottom. These are all just random short hardbacks. Most of them are from subscription boxes. They should all be pulled to the front. I know I've been pulling out special editions and stuff, but at this point we're going to be getting to the point where I have so many subscription box books that we're not pulling them all out. This one's kind of special because it predates me having a booktube channel. Ryan bought me this and gifted it to me for Christmas. Some of them, like these, are standard editions. I think that one's a standard as well, but they're just shorter hardbacks really, and they are in alphabetical order, of course. Down here we have my City of Brass books. We have the Bane Chronicles, which is part of the Shadowhunters world, because that doesn't fit where I have the rest of my Cassandra Clare books. This is kind of special because it is the first edition hardback, so it's real hard to get hold of. Also the Gothtober candles, because I had an extra set. These were the ones that I took photos of, so I've just shoved them in here while I have space. A couple of, like, this is just a random leaf. These are all of my mass market books that aren't part of a series that has larger books in it. So we have the first Anne McCaffrey book, which I really want to read, but it's a very long, intimidating series, and also my Anne Rice books that I need to read. And over on this side, once again on the top shelf, we have a whole bunch of shorter hardbacks and special editions. Are you ready to see the travesty, the absolute travesty that is the UK hardback for Twilight, the original one from the year 2006? Oh, we have a print here that's wedged in. There she is in all her glory. Isn't she horrific? I've read this book 15 times, which is why it is bashed to death. But this, look at that, that's disgusting. This is my original copy of Twilight. Is this a first edition hardback? Yeah, I think it is. First edition UK Twilight. Isn't she ugly? Down here we have the Waterstones editions of the DC Icons series, which I only collected because Sarah J Maas had one. That's the only one that I really care about. I read the Marie Lou one, didn't like it, and if I don't like the Leigh Bardugo one, I will unhaul. I might keep Leigh Bardugo actually, because I have the rest of her books, and all of them in hardback now, I think, but I might get rid of Marie Lou. And then over here we have my Bone Season books. So all of these were kind of special for a while, but they keep going backwards and forwards between what editions they want to have of these books. So they changed the editions to a white one, which made all of them special. They've now changed them back to match these. So the only one that's special now is the Song Rising, which was a special edition ordered through Samantha Shannon's website. So my Monstera is here looking beautiful with a brand new leaf that has fenestrations, and I also have a new leaf coming through here which also has fenestrations, which I'm thrilled about. But back to the books. Most of the books that are on this bottom shelf I have read, or if it's a series that I haven't read the sequels of, I've at least read the first books. So let me just move you up so that I can actually get in. Down here we have all of my Leigh Bardugo books. So we have The Lives of Saints down here. We have the Shadow and Bone special edition, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom special edition, King of Scars, Rule of Wolves, Language of Thorns, and Ninth House. I'm really hoping that eventually they make a King of Scars and Rule of Wolves special that like matches the rest of the Grisha books, even though not too keen on King of Scars. Over here we have the Wicked Saints books by Emily A. Duncan. I don't really like her as a person, but I already had all of these books, so here they are. From the ones in the center, we have The Queens of Innisleia, which is a book I really love. Haven't read Lady Hotspur. This one I will pull out because it's the Fairy Loot one. The most beautiful stenciled edges in existence. But once again, read and really enjoyed it. Heartless, read, didn't adore it, but I really like Marissa Meyer. Another one of the only more recent YA fantasy series I've loved is the Girls of Paper and Fire series by Natasha Nyan, also The Merciless Crow by Margaret Owen. Priory of the Orange Tree is down here because it didn't fit with the rest of the Samantha Shannon books. This is my, it's like a Rhapsodonian Rapsa something. It's like a fake Monstera, or like I think they're called mini Monsteras. And then down in this corner we have some of my Lady Taylor books. So these are kind of special. So this one is the Illumicrate one that I got as part of a rep package, but I may unhaul this because I prefer the editions that I have. And the editions that I have, Curtis got off eBay for £60 for all three, and they are the out of print UK hardbacks. I adore these. These are my favorite editions of this series, and this one is even signed and numbered. It's number 34 of 1500. These two, less special, but still the out of print UK hardbacks. And then right down here in this corner we have some of my Strange the Dreamer collection. So these are the UK first edition hardbacks. This one is incredibly special to me because this was the first ever ARC that I was sent by the publisher for review, so it is a prized possession. And this one Ashley kindly gifted to me. She had it lying around and she didn't need it, so she sent it my way, and it completes my Strange the Dreamer collection. The only ones I have that aren't in here are the Illumicrate set, which are in the living room. So while we're crawling around on the floor, I thought we may as well do the bag of comics before I forget that they exist. So this bag came in one of the Illumicrates. It's inspired by Nevernight, and it just about fits the majority of my comics in. There's a couple of larger bind-ups I have that don't fit in here, but aside from that, this is everything. These are like my volumes, I guess, of comics. So here we have, this is very difficult to get hold of. It is the first installment of the canonical Buffy and Angel comics. I have read this. I enjoyed it. It's interesting as somebody who's a big fan of the show. We then have all of my Angel and Buffy reboot comics, which is a substantial amount of them. It's that much of the bag. This one is actually a special exclusive cover of Die Fantasy Heartbreaker from Traveling Man. Sadly, they didn't do the second volume in this cover, which I'm kind of sad about. We then have Blackbird, Isola, which once again, volume 1 is an exclusive cover from Traveling Man, and they didn't follow up with volume 2. But with volume 2, I did get this exclusive signed art print from Traveling Man. I also have volume 1 of Monstrous. All of these are my Rat Queens, and the last section in here is Saga, which is my favorite comic series of all time, but I know it's also a lot of people's favorite comic series of all time, so it's not like that's anything overly special. And essentially with this bag, if I have one or more book in the series, then I am currently reading it or have read it, and if there's just one, like with Monstrous, Die, and Blackbird, then I haven't started that series yet, so that's why I only have the first volume. So next we're moving on to this Shelf of Shame, which lives in Crap Corner. Please excuse the mess. This is where I throw all of the random bits of things that have no home, and it desperately needs sorting. But this shelf is another one from Blockbuster. I'm probably going to be kind of brief with these shelves because they are pretty much a hot mess of miscellaneous stuff. But up here we have all of my classics. The classic edition that I try to collect is the Penguin English library editions, which all look a little bit like this. As we all know, I don't read a ton of classics, so essentially if I find something secondhand in a Penguin English library edition, I just pick it up and I'll get to it eventually. Down on this shelf we have all of my manga, so the same rules apply here as with my comics. If I only have one volume, I haven't started it yet, and if I have more than one, then I'm currently reading it. So we have some of my favorites here: Children of the Whales, Dreaming Sun, Orange, and then that one is just like one entire story in one volume, but I really like that as well. Over here we have my children's classics, so the entire Mary Poppins series. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is also special to me, at least, as it is the Barnes & Noble edition that I picked up in New York in 2014. On this next shelf we have all of my Cassandra Clare books. I've read up to the Dark Artificers, and all of these are the Waterstones exclusive paperbacks with sprayed edges. And then that one is where the organization stops. Here we have a Trinket Shelf. These are all of the first Bookish candles I ever got. These ones are from Murakami Candles, which used to be the biggest Bookish candle company in the UK, but they don't exist anymore, and I have burnt them slightly for a photo, but they're just shelf decorations essentially. These shelves are just things that I have no solid place for, so whatever fits goes on these shelves. Like the one non-fiction book that I own, which is Will the Cat Eat My Eyeballs by Caitlin Doughty. I really love her books and her as a person because she has a YouTube channel. She's a mortician. I'll link her in my description box. A Reader's Digest edition of Wuthering Heights, which my mum got me because Wuthering Heights is my favorite classic. We also have Goyo by Junji, so the only manga that isn't on the shelf above. These little mythical kind of reference books about like legendary and magical creatures in like their origins in myth, legend and lore. And my Truth Witch books by Susan Dennard, because I don't have any shelf space where I can display them all kind of together. Next shelf down we have another Trinket Shelf. This has one of the Illumicrate pots on it. This one is my punishment pot for Bookopoly. Also just all sorts of Bookopoly supplies like my counter. Some more Happy Hellos. These were on the spines of my Throne of Glass books. They are the Selena bookmarks from the cover of every Throne of Glass book, but but I recovered the books with Nerdy Ink dust jackets, so I took them all off. And I also have a couple of sets that Ryan got me for Christmas. So we have Crescent City and also Hamilton, and these are on here because I need to put up another string, but I don't have any fishing wire. On the shelf below we have some more random things. These are all of my tall paperbacks. There are a couple of hardbacks in there that wouldn't fit anywhere else, and then things like You Love Me by Caroline Kepnes I will probably unhaul when I can get a paperback of that. I bought it in hardback because I wanted to read it immediately. I love the You series, but I don't need it for my collection. I need a paperback copy of that. And then we have all of my Heartstopper books here as well. And this was sent to me by one of my lovely subscribers. It is Angel Season 6, and this is impossible to get hold of now. It's an old library copy. So down here is the only other place you're going to see Harry Potter. Those are Curtis's Harry Potters from when he was a kid. We also have my Nevermore hardbacks. The first one doesn't have a dust jacket because I got it off eBay and it's a really hard hardback to find, so I'm not too bothered about it, it's fine. And my Frost Heart and Ink Heart books as well. And then right on the bottom, I'm not even going to go into these properly, a whole bunch of really random things. So we have my Horrible Histories books from when I was a kid, my giant book of Sudoku that I've been working on for about 10 years, like random bits of things, a couple of Titanic books, a Cadbury's novelty cookbook, my book of Grimm's fairy tales from when I was a kid, random children's myth books, an Ark of the Furies, a random book my mum got me at a charity shop, and 3 Lonely Planet guides from places that I've been to. And then down here in that real dusty corner we have the complete works of Shakespeare, and this, yeah, this really is crap corner. Like, nobody really needs to see this, but we do have these on my Bookopoly boards as well. We are currently 3 bookcases down. We have 5 bookcases and 2 TBR cards to go. Next up is these shelves in the corner, which are mainly my author shelves. This is a tight corner as well, so you'll have to excuse some of the shots that we're gonna get. And this one doesn't really have a story attached to it. I think I bought it from the range, and I think it was about £75, and some of the shelves, I don't know if you can tell, are already bowing, which is unfortunate. Starting up at the very top here, we have an overspill of Sarah J Maas. So these are the more special Sarah J Maas editions. I can't get in super well to show you guys what we have here, and I really don't want to knock my diffuser over, but we have the Throne of Glass Collector's Edition, the ACOTAR Collector's Edition, the House of Earth and Blood Tour Edition, the A Court of Silver Flames Tour Edition, and an extra set of ACOTAR books that are covered with the Illumicrate book jackets that came in the Silver Flames box. As you can see, A Coat of Mist and Fury is missing. This is an empty dust jacket, and that is because Curtis is currently reading it, and I'm hoping to bring you a follow-up video to that ACOTAR one sometime soon. Also of note up here, we have my snake plant. I'm horrible at looking after those. As soon as I water them, they die on me, so I don't water them, and they look like they need water, and I'm not really sure what to do. That's one of the secret books from Fairy Lou, and that is another secret book tin, and in here I put my prints and stuff from subscription boxes. We also have a Rowan plushie which came in the Kingdom of Ash Hangover crate from Fae Crate, and a Mia plushie which came in the Dark Dawn Hangover crate from Fae Crate, and she won't sit up ever again. So onto the actual shelves. The majority of these are organized by author, and I truly cannot get into this corner to show you guys anything. So we have one of the Illumicrate pots, my Journey Before Destination candle, a random Patronus candle that was a freebie, a Mistborn print from Illumicrate that's foiled, which is why it's super reflective. We also have the majority of the Cosmere books in the UK paperbacks, which are of course my favorite edition. Here, tucked down the side where you, oh shit, here tucked down the side where you can't see it, we have Elantris as well. Then across the top here we have all of the Stormlight books and Rhythm of War, and I'm just gonna see, let me in to get that print out. Behind that print we have The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds, and also Skyward and Starsight. I would definitely say that this bookcase is my prettiest bookcase. This is my Schwab shelf, so this is what I meant when I said not all of the authors are my favorite authors. I just have a lot of Schwab books. So we have these little figurines that came in the Dark Shade of Magic Illumicrate. This is a custom Funko of the Darkling that Curtis got me for my birthday. We also have a little Fairy Loot trinket tray here as well. These ones are the collector's editions of A Dark Shade of Magic in the Illumicrate dust jackets. We also have on this shelf the Illumicrate collector's edition of A Dark Shade of Magic and the Owlcrate and Illumicrate editions of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Moving down a shelf again, we have my J. Kristoff shelf. So behind this print, which I think this came in the Dark Dawn Hangover Recovery Crate, we have a 2021 Bookathon candle, my Illuminate files. These ones are the Goldsboro editions of the Aurora Cycle. I have the third one coming sometime soon. We also have an arc of Aurora Burning. This custom Funko over here came in the Dark Dawn box from Illumicrate, I believe, along with the little Mia Corvia candle that you can see behind there. And then over in this corner we have, that one's the Waterstones edition of Empire of the Vampire, the rest are upstairs, and the UK first editions of the Nevernight series in hardback. Moving down to my queen, Miss Sarah J Maas, we have a couple of my Crescent City candles on the shelf. We also have this game, which is a Throne of Glass card game, which I got as essentially a collector's item. We'll take that out so you guys can see behind it. But these are the dust jackets from Nerdy Inc. for the entire Throne of Glass series. Nerdy Inc. are just releasing an ACOTAR one, and I'm not sure if I want it because it would be nice if they matched, but I already have a set of dust jackets and I don't want another full set of ACOTAR books, because as you can see here I also have the original UK covers as well. And then over in the Crescent City side of things we have a couple of special bits. We have two of my most prized possessions, one of which of course is the Arc of House of Earth and Blood, which I was so kindly sent by the publisher, and the other one is this custom edition of Crescent City that Ashley made for me that has painted edges and also a painted cover. And then down here, I'm not going to dwell too long on these. Nothing in here is really overly special, I want to say, but there are a lot of subscription box books here, so these are mainly full-size hardbacks. So we have a couple of interesting things, I guess, in that I have the Book of S by J.J. Abrams, which has lots of pullouts and napkins and stuff that are part of the story. And similarly, I also have Bats of the Republic, which has mixed media elements in it. And then down on this bottom shelf, we pretty much have more of the same. It's lots of miscellaneous full-size hardbacks with a lot of subscription books in there. I guess the one thing of note down there that isn't a subscription box book would be my hardback set of Lord of the Rings, which Ashley bought me one Christmas. So we're now going to be moving on to the TBR carts in this room before I head upstairs, but I thought I'd just give you a little bit of an overview of how this area looks, because I do have a couple of stacks of books down here which I will get into, and we also have a bunch of trinkets on top, although these are mostly mugs with bookmarks in and also candles. So this book cart originally had a purpose when I bought it. I was going to put my TBR on top, which I still do, but it also has my wrap up on there. My haul in the middle will sell all the books that I needed to haul for whatever month, and then down at the bottom here I was going to put my wrap up. However, as soon as I got this I quickly started running out of space, so we use it a little bit differently now. It's essentially just overspill, but if we start off at the top, which I actually use for a reason, on here we have my TBR and my wrap up. So my current November TBR is all of the books here, and then these are the two books that I've read in November so far. Also in the top of here I keep the pencil case that has all of my annotation supplies in, and we also have my Kindle in the back here as well. The middle shelf, as I've already said, is overspill, so we have a bunch of short hardbacks here because they fit better in TBR carts than large hardbacks, and this, well, that is not middle grade, but these are my overspill of my middle grade that don't fit on the middle grade shelf that I already have. This is on here because I borrowed it from Ryan ages ago, like years ago, said I was going to read it and I still haven't. Down at the bottom here we just have another selection of small hardbacks, and I think all of these, apart from A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, are subscription box books. These little magnets that we have all came in Illumicrate boxes. They were the collectible items before they started doing pins, and I actually preferred these to the pins because I think every box pretty much does pins pretty frequently, and I thought the magnetic coins were a little bit more unique. In the back of this TBR cart on both of the shelves we have a ton of my book sleeves that I get in subscription boxes and also ones that I bought myself. So if I bring you around the side here, you can see that that is stuffed full, and then this is a little room spray that came in a subscription box. Also down here we have the Fairy Loot editions of From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. We also have a little lantern that is full of naked people candles. And then over on this side of the fireplace we have my calathea, which is my pride and joy, the plant that I've managed to keep alive the longest, and as you can see she is thriving. We also have another one of the Illumicrate pots, and these books are from the Box of Stories box I got as a rep package, and I put them on here because at the time I had nowhere to put them, but then I thought that they looked kind of good so I've just ended up leaving those there. They're not there for any other reason aside from they look kind of good on the fireplace. Then over on the cart that's by my desk, this one is my unhaul cart. So this is where Hamilton sleeps while I'm working, and then these are all of the books included in my unhaul project. Now I'm just scanning over these quickly because I have done a full tour of this where I told you all of the books that were going to be included in the unhaul project, and I have only added a couple, so it is double stacked, mainly paperbacks. But if you want to know everything that's included in the unhaul project, you can check out that video. I will link it for you in the description box. On my way through to living room, we do just have 3 random books here for like decoration, I guess, and this one is my current read. It does not belong here, but these 3 do just live on this little shoe cabinet. So this one is the floating shelf that goes above the couch in the living room, and similarly to the unhaul cart, I'm not going to be going through everything on the shelf because I only put it up a couple of months ago, and I made a full video of assembling it that had a tour of everything on the shelf in it. These are some of my fanciest special editions, I guess, and the ones that look the prettiest, as well as some adult epic fantasy because I like the kind of aged vibe of them. But I will link that video down in my description box if you want a full tour of every single book on the shelf, because I do pull every single one out, and also there's information about where I got the shelf from and all of that stuff in that video as well. Okay, so we are finally almost at the end of this tour. We are upstairs on the landing and we have 3 bookcases here. These ones are one thin ones. They are once again DVD shelves. I got these from IKEA. I think they're called Gnedby, and I think they're actually not stocked in a lot of European countries, but you can get them in the UK. Once again, I like them because they fit paperbacks perfectly, and I've moved all the shelves around in here to make them the sizes that I want them. I did, as I've said earlier, make a full video where I assembled all of these and reorganized everything and put everything together, so I will link that video if you are interested. But these are my romance shelves, so all of my standard contemporary romance, all of my smut, and all of my fantasy romance, or most of them all at least, are on these shelves. So the main problem with these shelves is that they're in kind of a tight space, so I can't get you guys the best angle on them, but they are kind of alphabetical, but I have kept series together. So up here we have some of my contemporary romance book club, the fine print by Lauren Asher, some fantasy romance. These are all first books in series, which, as with downstairs, indicates that I have not started these ones. And then obviously alphabetically Armentrout comes before Faye, so that should be way up here, but I like how the series pretty much fills the cubby, so I've moved the alphabet. You guys can see, it makes sense. It's hard to explain. In this one we have all of my Amanda Boucher stuff, followed by Black Sunshine by Karina Halley, all of my super brightly coloured contemporary romance, so Helen Huang and Talia Hibbert, who also alphabetically just happened to go together, which I thought was perfect. However, they should go that way around. And then on this side we have all of my Colleen Hoover books. Taking it down here we have another little bit of a random one, but it does have the 2 Bridge Kingdom books by Danielle L. Jensen in here. I should unhaul that. I didn't love it, but I did really love this, and I can't wait to continue on with this series. We have Serpent and Dove and Blood and Honey by Shelby McCurran, which are YA but still fantasy romance. My 2 Casey McQuiston books, 2 of the Fever books by Karen Marie Moning, and then another few random ones. And then as we start to go down further, hello, There's a lot of empty cubbies down here. So down on this level, we have 2 empty ones. This one is currently storing my phone while I film. And we also have the Lana Pacherzlik books. I haven't read these, but my Patreons really love them. So I think it was Ash. Yeah, it was Ash that sent me the entire series, including the first book in the New Vampire spin-off. Down here, we have all of my Katie Robert books, which is essentially just the entire Wicked Villains series. Just one book on a shelf on its own. And also all of my Kelsey Sutton books, minus Straight On Till Morning, which I still need a physical copy of. And these ones, I think, are these signed and personalized? Or just signed? They're signed by Kelsey herself, who you guys know I'm also really good friends with. And of course, we all know that Fortuna Swan is one of my favorite series of all time as well. Then down here, lots more empty space, but we also have my Laura Thalassa collection. I'm gonna move you guys a bit closer. It includes one of my favorite fantasy romance series ever, which is the Bargainer series. Now, these fit perfectly in here, but the 4th book in the Horseman series is gonna be released soon. And also, I don't have Rhapsodic because Ryan borrowed it, so it's gonna really upset me when I get those 2 books back and they don't fit in here perfectly. And then right down here at the bottom, we just have 2 random books, another selection of like the first book in series, and my mass market fantasy romances, which is the A Kiss of Shadows by Lauren K. Hamilton, and also the Tyrant Soul series by C.L. Wilson, or the first half of it at least. And then finally, we are up to the last bookshelf in the house. I think if I've missed something during this video, I'm gonna kick myself. But we have one long Billy in the spare bedroom, which once again is in a little bit of an inaccessible location because I'm currently sat on the spare bed, the end of which is here, so there's nowhere to really get the camera in. No story attached to this one, it is just a Billy bookshelf, and I picked it up and assembled it at the same time that I did the 3 on the landing. This one mainly has special editions, and for most of the shelves they're organized by where these special editions are from. It's obviously not all of the special editions, because like I have an Illumicrate shelf and a Fairy Loot shelf and stuff, but as you guys saw downstairs, I have tons of like Fairy Loot, Owlcrate, Illumicrate editions downstairs already. This is just the overspill, the more recent ones that I've got that I had nowhere to put, that went on this new bookshelf, which is turning into a special edition bookshelf, and it does have quite a lot of gaps on, as you can see. I'm standing on top of the bed for this, so if you hear a scream and a crash, RIP me. But there's an empty book bag up here that came in the most recent Illumicrate, because I currently don't need the space for excess books, but it is there and ready for when I do need it. This top shelf is a lot of the shorter hardbacks that I own. All of them are subscription boxes, so we have, I think, like these 2 are Owlcrate, that one is Fairy Loot, these 2 are Illumicrate, and it's just because they're an odd size. I wish we had some cohesion with these, because look at that. Like, can we have just one size of short hardback, please? Because these ones are really short. They're shorter than all of those ones as well. On this shelf, we have the Goldsboro Sci-Fi and Fantasy Fellowship books that I get. I've only been a subscriber of that for 2 months, so I only have 2 books so far. And we also have my duplicates of Empire of the Vampire and one of my Dark Dawn duplicates. So if you guys want to know all the details on this, I did make a video comparing all of the UK special editions of Empire of the Vampire, but this one is the one that is my favorite. It is the Illumicrate edition, but I also have the Goldsboro and the Forbidden Planet as well. Down on this shelf we have a couple of the larger Illumicrate hardbacks that I've received recently, apart from Sanctuary. Sanctuary is a couple of years old, but it was one that was floating around that I'd taken off my main shelves. Down on this shelf we have the Tall of Fairy Loots that I've received. That's just like one of the little clips for the shells that I found on the floor after I'd assembled them. But these ones are 3 of the most recent Fairy Loot ones. And this one is the Waterstones special edition of June that I picked up recently, that has the gorgeous stenciled edges. Okay guys, we're getting to a point now where I'm really struggling to fit the tripod into this gap, but we only have 2 shelves left. This one is all of my Book of the Month books that they've sent me recently for sponsorship packages. So there are 9 books in total here. I have received 14 Book of the Month books in total, but I am going to be unhauling some of them, like the literary fiction, historical fiction ones that I just really think I'm never going to get to because they're not my kind of genre. But I've kept like the thrillers, the fantasy, and the romance. I've only read one of them so far, but like I haven't had them very long, so that's not a big deal. But I have read the XX by Erin Sterling and I absolutely loved it. And then I'm just going to tip you guys downwards to the last shelf because that is literally just 4 arcs. So under the last graduate down there we we have Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. But all of the ones that are still downstairs on my paperback shelves, I think, aside from Crescent City, which belongs with the Sarah J Maas collection, and Aurora Burning belongs with J Kristoff, Strange the Dreamer belongs with Laini Taylor. All of the extra ones that are just random arcs that I have that I've picked up second hand, I haven't read, so they're still downstairs on my main shelves, and this I've read all of these ones, so this is where I'm putting all of the arcs that I don't want to unhaul but I still want to keep, but I don't need to keep them on my main shelves because I have finished copies of them all as well. So there you have it. Those were all of my bookshelves and my first ever bookshelf tour. Now I know the bookshelf tours are things that people tend to do yearly on BookTube, but I can't say if that's going to be me or not. I did make this video with the intention of finally making my first one and then continuing to do them yearly, but thinking about it, like those paperback shelves downstairs and the church shelf that's under the window, they don't really change. I maybe rearrange a couple of books every time I want to squeeze something in somewhere, so I'm not sure if it's really worth it me making updated versions of these every year, but we'll see how we go, I guess. And if I ever move house or do a significant rearrange, I will bring you guys another bookshelf tour. But I appreciate that this has probably been a kind of long video, so thank you so much for sticking with it. If you've made it this far, please let me know down in my comments whether you enjoyed this video, and also if you spied any books on my shelves that you don't think I've read and you would like me to, then definitely let me know that as well. I will in December be making a new installment of my entire own TBR where I will be going through every single book I own that I haven't read, and there are a substantial amount, so keep your eye out for that if you are interested, because I also ask for recommendations on those videos as well. But I'm real hot, I'm kind of sweaty. I feel like I've been filming this video my entire life, so I'm gonna sign out. I hope you've enjoyed this video if you made it this far. If you did, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head to my description box, you'll find a link to all of those videos I mentioned in this video, my Instagram, Twitter and Goodreads if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish Candle website, the Instagram and Etsy for that, and also a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.